Hello YouTube, Asuma here with another Minecraft tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know to build a cave spider XP farm in Minecraft 1.2 with one or more mob spawners. A cave spider XP farm is made using mob spawners found in mineshafts. Spawn rooms are built around these mob spawners to trap spiders and funnel them into spider tunnels, which lead them into a crushing trap. This trap will lower the spider's health so they can be killed individually with one punch, or a splash potion to kill them all at once. Before we start building the spider XP farm, there's some things we need to know about mob spawners in order to build this trap. So in this video I'm going to go over the very basics we need to know to build the trap, but my friend Sokar has a comprehensive video that teaches everything you need to know about these mob spawners, so you can find a link to his video in the description box or click the annotation on the screen. So the first thing we need to know about this mob spawner is that there's a limited area in which it can actually spawn the mobs, and that's represented by this glass cube here, and it's around this area that we build what's called a spawn room, and this is where we capture the spiders where they're first spawned and then move them into water streams. Once we have the spiders in these water streams, we need to lead them outside of what's called the escape area, and the edge of that area is represented by this red wall. So the mob spawner can only spawn up to 6 mobs at once if they're all within this area here. So that's why we need to lead them outside of that area, so that the mob spawner will keep on spawning mobs with no limit at all. So once the spiders are outside of the escape zone, they need to be led into a trap, and it's on top of this trap is where the player stands, and the player needs to be within another area, and this is called the activation area. So if you can see this green sphere around the mob spawner here, that's the activation area, and if I stand outside of it we can see that the mob cage is no longer active, and we can see this because there's no flames and the mob inside isn't spinning. So you will need to lead your spiders to a trap that's within this green area here and outside of the red area. We're going to do this tutorial in 2 parts. The first I'll be showing you how to build the basic spider XP farm, and that's just for one spawner. That includes building the spawning room, building a spider tunnel and the crusher trap. Then in the second part of this tutorial I'll be showing you how to build this with more than one mob spawner. So the very first thing you need to do when you find your mob spawner is disable it using torches. So once you've placed enough torches around and lit up the surrounding area, no mobs will be able to spawn, and at that point we need to start digging away the area around it to make the spawning room. Now that we've cleared the area around the mob spawner, we're going to start building the spawning room walls, and the way we do this is we stand on top of or underneath the mob spawner and we press F3. Then on the left hand side we can see the coordinates X, Y and Z, and underneath that is the letter F with a value next to it. Now when we face a different direction that number will change, and the numbers we want are 1 and 2, which are these 2 directions. So once we've found those directions we're going to take our blocks and we are going to place 4 from the spawner like this on both sides. Then it's after these 4 blocks that we start building the walls. Then on the other side of the mob spawner we're going to place 3 blocks, and the same on this one here, and it's after those 3 blocks that we start building the walls. And then we remove these blocks on the inside and finish building the walls. So to finish building the walls we build them 1 block up from where the mob spawner level was and 2 blocks below. And below that you should have a floor like this, which is what we're going to place water on in a moment. But above the spawner we need to place a block, and then another one from which we start building the ceiling of the room. When the ceiling is finished we can place in some optional redstone lamps. The lights from these lamps, when turned on, will disable the entire spawnable area within the room. This allows you to turn the farm on and off. And the way we do this is we stand in the corner of the room and look up to the ceiling, then move diagonally inwards 3 blocks and remove the block above us and replace it with a redstone lamp, and we do that in all 4 corners. Now that all 4 lamps have been placed we can wire it up with some simple redstone. All you need to do is place down your redstone wire on each of the lamps and connecting between all of them. Then place down a lever and turn it on, and now you'll be able to work on the spawn room without any torches and no mobs will spawn. So the next thing we need to do is place down water on one side of the room. It doesn't matter which side, but only if you're building this with just one mob spawner. If you're building it with more than one, then you need to watch the whole video to understand what side to place it on. So all you need to do is place down a row of water source blocks like this against the back wall. At the side of the room where the water ends, we're going to need to remove these two blocks all the way across and replace the bottom row with stone stairs. And then place signs like this. And what I'm doing here is placing one sign on top of the one in front of it until they are floating all the way across the room like this. So far we've built the spawn room, and now we've started building the trap at the front, which will collect the spiders and lead them into a spider tunnel. So what we need to do next is finish building that, and we're going to place 2 blocks at the side, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side and place a block above, on the side and in front of that block. Then we're going to remove it and then place a row of glass across the front like this. Then we're going to remove this block here and place a water source block below, and then replace the block, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now that we've done that, we need to find the middle and then place 3 stone blocks like this, and then place blocks on the side, break that block there and place blocks above. Earlier in the video I talked about the escape area. I put down this red wall here to represent where that is from the mob spawner. So we're going to need to extend this tunnel, and the way we do this is we place a block with some stairs on top of it facing that way. Then we're going to extend the tunnel like this, and they're going to block it off at the end so the water doesn't spill everywhere. Then we're going to remove this block, place a sign on the side, put another block above it, then place water here, and then extend the top of that all the way out. Now we're going to build the crusher part of the trap, and it's important where we place this because it needs to be within the activation area, which I talked about earlier in the video. So right now we can see the spawner because we've built some of this out of glass. If I take a step forward, we can see that we activate the spawner. So I'm standing in line with where we're going to place the crusher trap, and the spawner's active, which means it's the correct place to put it. So to do this, we're going to place a block underneath this one, then ones all the way around the side and above those ones as well. Then we're going to put a block on top here, place the iron bars there, and then we're going to remove the block in the middle. So now everything is ready for us to build the crusher, and the way we do this is we place 2 blocks like this, then we place these sticky pistons so they face inwards, and then remove those blocks. Then we're going to place a block up here with a lever on the front, then blocks behind like this leading down to the bottom piston here, and we're going to wire it up like this. And now when we use the crusher, when we hit the lever, we're going to extend the bottom piston, which stops any new spiders coming into the trap, and then when we hit it again, it's going to retract, and then that means that the spiders can come in and load back up again. So now we're going to build the part of the circuit where when we hit the lever the first time, it's going to extend the top one on a timer, which will cause suffocation damage to the spiders and reduce them to a one-punch kill. So we're going to start off by placing a block behind the top piston, another one behind that and above, and then we're going to place a redstone torch and remove this block here. Then we need to place 4 on this side here and 2 on this side, and then another 3 coming back this way, and then we're going to fill in all of that with cobblestone. And now what we need to do is place a block here with a redstone torch on the side, and then a repeater, and another one here, and a redstone wire in the corner there, and you can see that's turned off the torch. Then we need to place a block here and a redstone wire next to it, and then we need to place a lot of repeaters like this, and then place 2 wires at the end here and another 2 here, and then we need to set all of these to full delay. Now that we've set all our repeaters to full delay, we're going to wire up our input, and we do this by placing 2 blocks here and then leading it all the way back to our wire that's controlled by the lever, and then we're just going to place wire on top of these blocks, and that's it. We've finished building it. So we're going to hit this, and the top one's going to extend but only on a timer, and we can see the repeaters are going to invert this block here, and then it's going to retract, and the bottom one will stay like that, so you can kill the spiders that are up here and have taken damage from this block, and then when you finish killing them you can press the lever and it's ready to go again. So I've turned off the lights and activated the XP farm, and if you have trouble like this where your spiders don't clump up under the iron bars, all you need to do is hit the first one and eventually they will clump up. So now if we hit the lever, we're going to crush the top 2, one of which will die because I've already hit it, and now the other one can be hit by a 1-hit kill. So now I've let quite a few clump up here, and I'm going to show you how it works with a splash potion. You'll need to stand back a bit, and now that it's finished crushing, you just throw the potion at them and they all get killed in one go. After you've killed the spiders, you may want to know how to collect all of the items, because you can't collect them from standing up here. You need to remove these blocks either side and walk into the corners like this to pick up the items. So now it's time for the second part of the tutorial, where I explain to you how to build this with multiple spawners. And I'm going to start off by saying there's no set way that I can show you what exactly you need to do. You're going to need to use your own intuition and thinking, but I'm going to provide you with all of the information that will be useful to do this. So first of all, you're going to have to pick an ideal location, and if we were doing this in survival, the way I would go about doing this is hollowing out the areas around each of the spawners and hollowing out the area in the middle between them all, which is just around here. So if you picture that we've hollowed out the area around the spawners, then we'll be able to see each of the spawners at the same time, and that way we would be able to check if they're all activated. And this is how we would probably pick a good location to place our trap. But we also need to double check that it's outside of the escape area, so you would need to measure 8 blocks out from the spawner itself. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, then another 4 after that, and you would find the edge of the escape area. So as long as the place that you pick is outside all of the escape areas of each mob spawner, then you've picked a decent location to place it. The next thing you need to do is think about what height you're going to place it. Now, spider tunnels can never travel downwards, they can only travel upwards. So we always need to pick the highest point, and this being the highest spawner, we would build our trap level with it. So the spider tunnel would make its way from this spawner over to where our trap is, and the other ones being lower would do the same thing, except the spider tunnels would travel upwards instead of downwards. Now that we've decided where we're going to be placing our trap, we need to figure out how to build the spawn rooms. And the way I do this is I'd look at the mob spawner and we can see more of one side than we can the other. Now this is exaggerated by the spawnable area, which is made out of glass. So as you can see, we can see a lot of this side, but not as much of that one there. So this would be the ideal side to place the front of the spawn trap, which collects the spiders together. And we're going to do that on each of the rooms, and then once we've figured that out, we're going to place the tunnels in different locations than in the middle, like on the last trap. So we might be placing them in this corner here because most of the spiders are going to track us to that point. So you always need to think about where the spiders are going to be tracking you to, because they can fight the current now. So we need to find what would be their ideal path to where we're going to place our trap and use the water to aid them in going in that direction. So now we're in my LP world, and I've come here to show you the spider farm that I've rebuilt to make it work in 1.2. So 2 of my spider spawners are very simple because of the way they're placed, but my third one is in an awkward position, so this gives me a chance to show you what I was talking about with making the tunnels run in the same direction that the spiders want to move. So when the spiders spawn in this room, they're going to instantly track me up to the crusher trap, and they're going to want to head in this direction here. So that's why we've built the tunnel like this. Now in order to make this work, we need the water to flow in the same direction. So to do this, we're going to have to place down some signs like this, which will leave spots that don't have water on. And this isn't a problem because the likelihood of a spider stopping on that block and not moving is very low, because they're going to be tracking us and constantly trying to move. And as well as that, another spider usually will come along and knock that one off if it does decide to stop. So the reason we have this sign here is that this water can flow all the way over to here, and if we didn't have this here, it would make this water flow into it, and that's not what we want. We want the water to keep pushing the spiders in the direction that they want to go. So the water flows in that direction, and the way I've placed the blocks means that we can keep it going that way. So when the spider comes through here, it's going to climb up that block, and then it's going to move straight into the next water source block, and that's going to keep it travelling in the right direction. Then at the end here we have a stream coming down from the side, so when they climb up the last wall, they get pushed into the centre underneath the trap. So it's very important that when using this that we actually stand directly on top of these iron bars, because this is above the block which all the spiders will meet at, and when they get to that point they're going to track me upwards, and then they're going to climb up this wall here. Now because there's only one wall, it means it's a little more difficult for them to climb up, but because we have spiders coming from all directions, they're going to bump and push each other into that wall, and because they're tracking me, they'll climb up it and clump into a group underneath the iron bars. So I've turned on the spider farm so you can see this in action. And there we go, one's come from down there, and another one, so you can see that that works, and that they make their way up to the spider trap. So earlier in the video I mentioned my friend Sokar, and he's the guy who found the fix for the spider farm, and this is his solution that he made with 3 spider spawners. So he's also added something extra which you can do as well, which is this little trap in the corner here for drowning spiders. Now on occasion the spider will not make its way outside of the spawn room and actually climb up the side of the wall, and if this does happen you'll have spiders getting caught in the top of your room, which will lower the spawn rates and eventually block up the system. So by adding this simple drowning trap using a sign to hold up the water, the spiders will climb up the wall and drown in the trap. So if we stand on top of the iron bars and look at the spawners, we can see the path in which the spiders are going to want to track us to. So Sokar's used the water to push them over to this point here and then bring them round like this. And from these 2 sides he's done the same thing again. He's followed the path that the spiders are naturally going to want to move in and used the water streams to push them in that direction. So that concludes the tutorial on how to build the spider XP farm in Minecraft 1.2. And if you have any questions or need any help, you can get in touch with me via the comment box. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.